Right, what is happening, folks? How are we all? I hope everyone is doing well. So welcome to the Nerdic Pro podcast. I do want to point out before we do get things underway, this coming Monday for the penultimate episode, the final ever episode of Nerdic Pro Weekly from 2022. I've got an announcement in regards to the Nerdic Pro podcast. I've got a fairly big announcement this coming Monday. Which will be Monday the whatever of December 2022. It's also going to be episode of week 58 of Nerdic Pro Weekly. From what I can understand, Mr. Jay Johnson is set to make his return to the Nerdic Pro podcast tonight. However, I've sent him the invitation. However, he did say earlier that he may not be able to join. If not, no worries. That is completely fine. As what I wanted to podcast about would be a co-host podcast. However, I have got something that I can podcast about instead. Which is something that I did a fair few months ago, if not going on to a year ago, here on the Nerdic Pro podcast. Just see how long this is actually been going on for. 207. Excuse me. Cheer up. I am happy. Anyway, so I'm going to start off today by chatting about this whole WWE versus AEW bullshit, right? I remember doing some stuff you're literally talking about a year ago now, talking about the feud between the World Wrestling Entertainment and All Elite Wrestling. What's happening? What do you mean, what's happening? If you mean, how am I? I'm good. Still breathing. Still alive at the last trek. Everything's good in the hood, Adam. There's obviously been a lot of hindsight and a lot of chitter-chatter and a lot of bullshit that's been going on in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, of people going on about saying that this company's better than that company's better than this company, blah, 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 blah. Potato, potato, Coke or Pepsi, right? Right? And, so the thing that gets me, right, is when people start, I want to say, like, arguing about certain wrestling companies that are better than the other, right? Shut the fuck up, right? Why can't we all just be one massive group of wrestling fans, right? I've said this more times than I could actually give a shade of shit to actually care to count, right? Because when it comes to saying that this company's better than that company, right? All right, you're entitled to your opinion, but it just pisses me off the fact on how certain people bitch at certain other people because their certain preferences in the wrestling business are different to theirs, right? I'm going to reference a bit of Dave Meltzer and Jim Cornette a lot in this podcast, right? Probably not by name, But when it comes to people like Dave Meltzer and Jim Cornette, right, you look at the 7-star rating, the 7 out of 5-star rating that Dave Meltzer gave the Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada match at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion back in, when was it, June of 2018, right? In Dave's defense, it was one absolute fucking belter of a match, right? I've not seen the match in full. I've only seen certain highlights of it. The match was over like an hour long, right? And yeah, so from the highlights that I've seen, it was one absolute belter of a match. So considering I've not actually seen the full extent to the match, I physically cannot rate that match on behalf of the Salastar rating system. Yeah, so when it comes to people like Dave Meltzer rating matches 7 stars or 5 stars or 5.5 or 6 stars or 6.5 or 6.25 or 6 3/4 or whatever, and like the 240 plus matches that Mr. Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer has actually rated 5 stars or above, right? For people to bitch and moan at something like that, right? Dave Meltzer, like many others, like yourselves, is entitled to his opinion on matches, right? I am entitled to my opinion when it comes to matches, hence why this Friday at 7... Right, was it 7 p.m. I said that I'll do it, or 8 p.m? I think it was 7. Right, so this Friday at 7 p.m. Excuse me. So this Friday at 7 p.m. I will be giving my version of the top 20 wrestlers in the world at the minute of 2022. So my thoughts of the top 20 wrestlers like of the year of 2022. So the companies that these wrestlers currently wrestle for will be are Lion Wrestling Promotions, LWP. I just want to point out, before people from a certain other company start getting all argy-bargy and pissy-pissy, I'm not rating the one wrestler that's actually on my list from LWP because I've got friends in LWP and because I referee matches in LWP, right? I'm doing it because I think he's one top dog fucking wrestler, right? And yeah, so from Lion Wrestling Promotions, Pro Wrestling Noah, AAA, so LWP from England, from the UK, Pro Wrestling Noah from Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, also from Japan, AAA Lucha Libre from... Alright, I need to write these down. So, the respected, like their home company, if you want to call it that, are LWP, Noah, fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling, AAA, All Elite Wrestling, Strike Ring of Honor, and WWE, Strike NXT, Strike NXT UK. Plus one from Impact as well, before I actually forget that. There is one wrestler from Impact or TNA from that. So the 20 wrestlers that I've got as in my opinion, who are the 20 best wrestlers from 2022. Wrestle for the likes of Lyre Wrestling Promotions. So they're in England, stroke UK. Noah are Japan. New Japan are obviously Japan. AAA are Mexico. AEW stroke Ring of Honor, they're USA stroke USA. NXT, WWE, NXT, and NXT UK. Obviously before NXT UK folded. So USA stroke UK. Impact is obviously USA. So yeah, these 20 wrestlers that I have put in the list to be my top 20 wrestlers for this year. Again, it's just my opinion. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so... Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Apologies. Sorry. But yeah, so for people that can't respect the fact on how a lot of people that do rate matches in wrestling... Right, are we on charge? Yes. Right, sorry about that. But, yeah, so, like, a lot of people that are known in the wrestling business, well, that podcast about wrestling, like myself, yeah, so, when people say, and when people talk about, whether it be someone like myself, whether it be Dave Meltzer, whether it be Jim Cornette, whether it be Brian Alvarez, Sean Ross Sapp, Brian Johnson of the, I believe he's PWI, Pro Wrestling Insider, and many others, Luke Owen from Wrestle Talk, Anna Pacitti from Cultaholic, Simon Miller from What Culture, whoever, right? We're all entitled to our own opinions, right? And, yeah, so... I am personally more... Well, obviously I am a huge wrestling fan, right? And I will watch wrestling purely for the sake of the wrestling aspect side of things, right? Because, you know, I love the industry, right? I love the storytelling side of things. I love the discipline side of things, right? I love the actual, like, the wrestling side of things. And I love the sort of, like, the crowd involvement. Do you know what I mean? I've noticed through going to wrestling for the past, like, live shows for the past, and actually getting to work on shows as well, over the past couple of months, more notably over the past couple of months, I've noticed that professional wrestling is like one great big massive family. Do you know what I mean? I remember watching Defiant Wrestling, or WCPW's last ever show, which was Built to Destroy, from like July in 2019, and this was when Adrian Lionheart McCallum, the at the time Insane Championship Wrestling ICW up in Scotland world champion, unfortunately took his own life. And Defiant Wrestling, like, although he never actually wrestled for Defiant, like, they still put on like a memorial tribute thing for him, which I thought was really good. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, the MC for that show, Sweet and Sour Stevie Aaron, said that he's well aware that Lionheart never actually wrestled for Defiant, or in the WCPW days, or actually had any sort of involvement with the company from its inception in May of 2016, until when they folded literally straight after that show. And And yeah, so, but he was also going on to say that once you actually become a part of professional wrestling, you become a part of a universal family, which that's something that I really do like agree with, because being at Clash at the Castle, right, in Cardiff, right, going around to the numerous pubs, right, and other various places that sold alcohol, right, in and around the Cardiff city centre, right. So going around the pubs and other various venues that, you know, sold the drink. We obviously got chatting to people that were wearing wrestling merch, right? As I just want to point out, Clash at the Castle, right, was definitely the best weekend of my entire life, right? Myself, Jay, who's been on a couple of Nerdic Pro podcasts recently, and he was due to be on this podcast, but I did say earlier that he might not be able to make it today. But yeah, so anyways, myself, Jay, Jay's uncle, cousin, and a couple of Jay's mates went up to Cardiff, right, to like the day before, so the Friday. The pay-per-view took place on the Saturday, blah, blah, blah. Oh, excuse me. But, yeah, literally, the second that we actually got into Cardiff, right, that actually got into, like, got into a part of Cardiff where there were actually people, we ended up seeing wrestling merch and banners and posters and billboards for the Clash of the Castle pay-per-view everywhere, right? We drive into the campsite. We stop off at we actually stop off at a Tesco's first, right? Had a piss, right? I did something else, but yeah, so I went to use a toilet there. I got a couple of bottles of Diet Coke, as they'd sold out of Pepsi Max, the bastards. But yeah, so got a couple of drinks, and then went on to the campsite, which was literally only 10-15 minutes like round the corner from the actual from the Tesco's that we had stopped at. Get to the campsite, set up, literally sit down for a minute, literally stretch your legs again, blah blah blah, and then set up our tents, and then we then sort of chillaxed for a minute, had a couple bottles of drink, and yeah, and then hit Cardiff City Centre, whacked open Google Maps. I think it was Jay that opened up Google Maps, and then myself, Jay, Fred, and I can never remember the other bloke's name, Dean, we all fucked off into Cardiff City Centre, and yeah, so had a belter of a time, and yeah, to say the least, Clash at the Castle weekend, absolutely brilliant, and yeah, so although I am more of a fan of All Elite Wrestling AEW, that doesn't mean to say that I'm not someone who views WWE, do you know what I mean? Because, like as I said before, right, wrestling is something that I can get into, whether it be AEW, whether it be WWE, whether it be AAA, Progress, GCW, House of Glory, whatever, right? Although I do say that I'm more of a fan of AEW, doesn't mean to say that I don't watch WWE. If I don't watch WWE, then I will openly, publicly say that I don't watch WWE. But I do you know what I mean? And have done for 14 years, do you know what I mean? And yeah, so when people say that, like when people slag off other people because their preferences, if you want to call it that, in wrestling are like their preference into wrestling companies, right, are different to their preferences, right, it really does get on my tits, right, because at the end of the day, right, this is exactly what I say. Shut the fuck up, right? Why the fuck could we not all just be one great big massive group and family of professional wrestling fans, right? And yeah, so when it comes to AEW and WWE, right? Again, I do think that in a lot of aspects, WWE are a lot better, but AEW is known for the signings now, and WWE is now known for the for the returns, right? If you include Jonah, right, or Bronson Reed, he returned a couple of days ago on Monday Night Raw during the match between Dexter Lumis and The Miz, right? That's now the 18th WWE return since Triple H took over, since Triple H, or like Reed took over as the head of creative in WWE. So people may slag off Tony Khan for signing the likes of Adam Cole, Jake Atlas, Chris Jericho, John Moxley, CM Punk, Dick, Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, who else? Just on top of the head, those 7 wrestlers, right? Literally just on top of the head. Saraya or Paige, Ruby Soho, Athena, and whoever else, right? As well as the acquisition of Ring of Honor, right? People may slag off Tony Khan for doing that. Yeah, alright, I've said this no end of times here on the podcast, right? The AEW locker room is far too big. But you look at all the returns that we've seen from WWE since August, and yeah, it's considering that Jonah or Bronson Reed this past Monday was the 18th return under like the 18th return, like not back from injury return. So by return, I mean not the returning from injury. I mean returning to WWE, like re-signing with WWE. This is now the 18th return that we've seen under the Triple H head of, like, being the head of creative once again in the WWE, in Titan Sports Inc. But, yeah, so yeah, people can bitch and moan about Tony Khan signing all these wrestlers, but at the end of the day, people can still bitch and moan about Triple H actually having all these wrestlers return to the WWE. But yeah, so for what I had planned for today's podcast, I did originally have planned that we were going to do a podcast for 2022, for like a review of 2022. Literally not literally reviewing every single specific wrestling show that's happened with WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, House of Glory, the NWA, AAA, LWP, FSW, NXT, NXT UK, etc., etc., etc. Right? We've got to take out the key moments from 2022, like various title changes, various debuts, various returns that we saw in wrestling, and various big news sort of outbreaks, if you want to call it that, that actually came out from 2022. Yeah, but I think that that's more of a, I think that's more of a podcast where there's more than one host, if you want to call it that, more than one podcaster on the actual podcast. Yeah, so, however, what I do want to do is give some more Salastar ratings, hoping I haven't actually got rid of the sheet. hang on. That I used. Hang on. Bollocks. Bear with me 2 seconds. As I put out a few days ago, or about just over a week ago, maybe, I think it was. I don't fucking know. That I was. Here we are. That I was rating a few matches from All Japan Pro Wrestling. From a playlist that I came across on YouTube. It was something like Dave Meltzer's Japanese 5-star classics or something. Let's try. Bear with me 2 seconds whilst I get all the rest of the Salastar ratings in to the folder. You as well. Right, so this folder here is literally just got all of my wrestling-based notes, podcasting notes, Salastar ratings, matches in it. I've just taken out the sheet of paper that I used to rate some of the All Japan matches. So I thought, you know what, I don't watch a lot of All Japan. I've never really watched a lot of All Japan. So I thought, you know, back in like the 80s, right, back in like the 80s and 90s, All Japan was it in Japanese wrestling. They were the dog's bollocks. They were the Billy Big Bollocks of Japanese professional wrestling and Japanese strong style. I had watched a few of these matches from the Dave Meltzer, like from a playlist that I just randomly came across on YouTube, just through YouTube in All Japan Pro Wrestling, because I thought, you know, like I want to watch a bit more Japanese wrestling. Not as, like, some of you will probably say, like, it's not as if that I've rated a lot of pro wrestling Noah and a lot of DDT, right? From between now and the Noah's New Year's Day show, right, I will not be rating any more Japanese wrestling apart from the All Japan matches that I come across on the YouTubes. So, yeah, there are... How many matches are there? How many matches are there? Fuck! How many matches are there on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 matches on here. Which, funnily enough, there's a new highest star rated match in the Salastar rating system. So there are 2 new highest rated matches. So the 5.75 star out of 5 match between Yuki Ueno and Tetsuya Endo from DDT Mega Max Bump is no longer the highest rated match in the Salastar rating system, as that's been beaten, funnily enough, by 2 matches. So yeah, both these 2 matches have the same rating. So yeah, I'm going to go from this sheet, I'm going to go from the lowest rating to the highest rating. So it'll be that. What are you? So it's going to be you up top. Then you. So what did I rate for? Right, so this first match that I rated Right, so all these 5 matches came from All Japan Pro Wrestling. They're out that I've done a podcast about it. So all these 5 matches came from All Japan Pro Wrestling from, I believe, between 1987 to 1994. So this match took place on the 9th of March 1997 between Koyakashi and Koyahashi versus Tiger Mask the second. So the second iteration of Tiger Mask. This match, fucking brilliant. I remember there being a spot where I believe it was Koyabashi on one of the top turnbuckles, about to give some sort of like leaping sort of splash onto the second iteration of Tiger Mask. And Tiger Mask then sort of give Koyabashi a bit of a punch as Koyabashi was coming down off the jump, and Tiger Mask kind of jolted his arm a bit, like I see, he had a bit of pain from that. So yeah, all in all, very, very, very good match. For the size of both the men, as they were both pretty like muscular men, like I thought that there was a lot of high flying action coming out of the mat, like going into the match, and like a lot of outside like wrestling from it. So yeah, I give this match a 5 out of 5 star rating. So yeah, again, very, very good match from start to finish. So the second match, which took place on October 19th, 1990, between Akira Taue, Masanobu Fuchi, and Jumbo Tsuruta versus Mitsuharu Misawa, one of the greatest, not just Japanese wrestlers, but one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, of Mitsuharu Misawa, and Toshiaki Kawada, and Kenta Kobashi. Again, another one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, of Kenta Kobashi. The matches between Kenta Kobashi versus Mitsuharu Misawa, all the matches that they had. I was listening to a YouTube video about 2-3 days ago, giving like a all-in-all review of the feud between Kobashi and Misawa, between Mitsuharu Misawa and Kenta Kobashi. And according to like the narrator of this video, they'd been involved together in something like 608 matches together. So yeah, according to this narrator in this video, like Mitsuharu Misawa and Kenta Kobashi spent 608 matches together, whether it be in tag team partners together, whether it be in opponents against one another, or whether it be tag team, or like going up against each other like in a tag team match. But yeah, in this instance, they were tag team partners. So yeah, Jumbo Tsuruta, Akira Taue, and Masanobu Fuchi versus Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, and Kenta Kobashi. Again, very, very beautiful 6-man tag team match. I'm truthfully not a fan of 6-man tag matches. But honestly, this match, absolutely incredible. Excuse me, absolutely perfect match. So yeah, I rated this match 5.25 stars out of 5 because it just, I think that the catch wrestling in it, Masanobu Fuchi, I believe that his catch wrestling style is absolutely amazing, right? And Mitsuharu Misawa and Jumbo Tsuruta, So you had Kenta Kobashi, Jumbo Tsuruta, Jumbo Tsuruta, Mitsuharu Misawa, and Kenta Kobashi, who were, I believe, 3 of the 5 pillars of All Japan Pro Wrestling. Mitsuharu Misawa would definitely be one of them. I'm not too sure about Jumbo Tsuruta and Kenta Kobashi. Kenta Kobashi, I think, was. I'm not too sure about Jumbo Tsuruta, but they were a part of the 4 pillars of All Japan Pro Wrestling from the 1990s. And yeah, I think that their styles of wrestling were absolutely fucking brilliant. So yeah, 5.25 out of 5, definite. Match number 3, literally same match, but it took place on the 20th of January, on the 20th of April, 1991. So, Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, and Kenta Kobashi versus Jumbo Tsuruta, Akira Tayu, and Masanobu Fuchi, right? I think this match was a fuck ton better than the match that took place on October 19th, 1990, purely for the sense that there was a lot more submission. It was a lot more fast paced. It was a lot more fast going than the first match. Again, the technical and the catch wrestling. I think that when technical wrestling and catch wrestling coming together, if it's done correctly, I think could be one hell of a match. I think that when you have a technical wrestler versus a catch wrestler, right? So a wrestler that simply focuses on the technical side of things, and a wrestler that simply focuses on the catch wrestling side of things. I think that when 2 wrestlers like that clash and come head to head, I think that you can have one hell of a fucking match on your hands. And this is exactly what happened in this match, right? Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, and Kenta Kobashi taking on Jumbo Tsuruta, Akira Tayu, and Masanobu Fuchi put on another belter of a match, right? So I rated this match 5.75 out of 5. Honestly, match was absolutely perfect. Moving on to the remaining 2 matches, which I rated both 6-star ratings, right? 6 out of 5-star rating, right? So the earlier match was between Mitsuharu Misawa and a Jumbo Tsuruta on June 8th, 1990. Bloody hell, this match, to say it was both the matches, right? Because the second match took place on June 3rd, 1994, between Mitsuharu Misawa and Toshiaki Kawada for the All Japan Triple Crown title. But honestly, both these matches, fucking brilliant. The match where Mitsuharu Misawa took on Jumbo Tsuruta, honestly, I think that Jumbo Tsuruta, a lot of people would look at Jumbo Tsuruta a lot like the Dynamite Kid and say that they are far before their time. Jumbo Tsuruta, I do believe, was before his time by about 20 years. I really do. I really, really do. Honestly, both these matches, Mitsuharu Misawa versus Toshiaki Kawada on June 3rd, 1994, versus and Mitsuharu Misawa versus Jumbo Tsuruta on June 8th, 1990. Honestly, both these matches, absolutely spectacular matches. I will try and find the playlist on YouTube now, actually. It's something like Dave Meltzer's 5-star match collection. Apologies if it's a bit dark. Unfortunately, I've not actually got a room light on the roof of my ceiling, on the ceiling of my bedroom, as I've not actually had one for about 6 years. Yeah, so. But yeah, so what was I saying? But yeah, right. So all Japan Pro Wrestling, right? Will it? So yeah, so the match. No, so not the match. So the playlist consists of 12 matches, or 12 videos, and it's titled Dave Meltzer's 5-Star Wrestling Matches. So it's titled Dave Meltzer's 5-Star Wrestling Matches Collection, and the person who actually made the playlist was a channel called Watcher 789456123. So yeah, honestly, so yeah, so just a bit of a rundown of the matches. So yeah, Kuniaki Kobayashi versus the second iteration of Tiger Mask on March 9th, 1987, 5 out of 5. Mitsuharu Misawa versus Jumbo Tsuruta on June 8th, 1990. I give that 6 out of 5 stars. On October 19th, was that 1992? No, so no, 1990. So on October 19th, 1990, between Jumbo Tsuruta, Akira Tayu, and Masanobu Fuchi versus Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada and Kenta Kobashi. I give that 5.25 stars out of 5, so 5.25 out of 5. So yeah, on the 20th of January, March, April. So on the 20th of April, 1991, the match, again, same match as the one before, Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, and I can't read, I really can't, and Kenta Kobashi versus Jumbo Tsuruta, Akira Tayu and Masanobu Fuchi. 5.75 out of 5 stars. And moving on to the final match from June 3rd, 1994. Mitsuharu Misawa versus Toshiaki Kawada. A very well-deserving 6 out of 5 stars. So, yeah, absolutely fucking brilliant. Matches coming out of All Japan Pro Wrestling from 1987 going up to 1994. So, yeah, bear with me literally 2 seconds. Fuck it, I'll do that afterwards. After I finish the podcast, which is literally now. Right, there we are. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for tuning in to today's podcast and the penultimate episode of Nerdic Pro Weekly before the end of 2022. It's been a great year for professional wrestling, hence why this Friday I will be running down the my top 20 wrestlers of the year from 2022. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for listening to today's podcast. My name has, as per usual, been Bobby Salastar, and I've been your Nerdic Pro Podcast General Manager, and I shall be seeing all you guys later on. Goodbye.